Okay, in this activity, we're working with finding the radius of the circles. So let's review really quick our formula for finding the area of a circle. So our formula is, for the area of circles, pi r squared. So when we find the area of the circle, I'm just going to throw in a number here for r. Let's say r was 4. Okay, so if we were to substitute in where our radius is a 4, so we're going to put a 4 here, we would go through and we would do 4 squared, because we need to do that first, and then take it times pi. So sometimes this is left as, well, 4 squared is 16. Sometimes it's written out like this, using the coefficient. So sometimes they leave it as 16 times pi, and sometimes they'll actually go through and do 16 times 3.14, which is going to give us 50.24. Okay, what we're going to be working with in this activity is this coefficient format. Okay, so if I wanted to work backwards, let's say they told us that the area of a circle was 16 pi. We're going to take our number that's out in front of our pi symbol, and we want to find the square root of that number. So the square root of 16, well, what number times itself is 16? That would be 4 times 4. Okay, and obviously, yes, we already have it there. This was just giving us a really basic example of what we're going to be doing in this activity. Okay, so I'm going to work through the ones that are a little more complicated, and then I'll leave the ones for you to work independently on the ones that are a little bit easier. So we're going to jump to letter C. Okay, so here they're telling us the area is 0.5 times pi. So area equals, 0.25 pi. Okay, so remember, when we were solving, our formula is pi r squared, right? So we're trying to figure out what number squared is going to equal 0.25. Well, if it was just 25, well, what number times itself gives us 25? That would be 5. It's just that now we're working with a decimal. Okay, so if I were to do 0.5 times 0.5, well, 5 times 5 is 25, and then I have 2 numbers behind a decimal, and I wrote 20 instead of 25. So 1, 2, my decimal would go right there. So my answer for this one is going to be 0.5 or 0.5 feet. Okay, so just because it's a decimal doesn't mean it has to be complicated. Lots of times you can think of the whole number when you're working with the squares. Think of if it didn't have the decimal in there, what would it be? And let's try D. So D, we're working a fraction, so very similar to what we did before. So our formula is pi r squared, and we don't know r, but we know that our area equals 9/16 times pi. Okay, so that means this part is really 9/16. Our r squared is 9/16. So we have to do the opposite of squaring it, and we have to square root. Okay, so the square root of 9 would be 3. 3 times 3 is 9. And the square root of 16, well, 4 times 4 gives us 16. So we just found out that 3/4 is our radius. So r equals 3/4, and our label was meters. Okay, so here you're just going through and you're substituting. You're basically taking that number that's out in front of the pi sign, and you're finding the square root of it, because they didn't actually go all the way out to the decimal form of our answer for the area of the circle. They were just using the coefficients. We're using that number that's with the pi symbol, and we're finding the square root of that. Good luck on A and B.